SIRCLO Commerce is an end-to-end channel management solution by SIRCLO. With our deep operational experience, as well as our advanced technology capability, we believe this solution will help brands to reach the heart of the nation.
Informasinya tanpa berlama-lama lagi, selanjutnya kita akan panggilkan Pak Muliadi yang akan mempresentasikan Riding Omnichannel whih. Waktu di depan, saya persilakan. Silakan.
Thank you even stay committed ini berjuang semua di luar here. It's a very long day. I know there's so many information that has been shared today. I hope you learned a lot and you enjoyed the networking session. I try to keep it as simple today, but we're going to try to go through a little bit about. We talk a lot about omnichannel from various angles, but sometimes when we see omnichannels, obviously a lot of people will say, "Oh, that's a jargon for retail." Like when we're talking B2C, we're talking offline, online. I'm a distributor, I'm a manufacturer, but that's that really mean for me. But the fact is, if you remember what we say in the beginning of the opening and a lot of stuff, the whole concept or the whole terms of omnichannel really means about the customers. And when we say customers, it's actually applied to everybody. Everybody that's doing business, there is always customers, right? Whether your customers is a retailer, your customers may be another business, your customer may be the end user itself. So, but if we apply that same principles, basically that the customers in the omnichannel is the center of everything, then all of a sudden it's click. Okay, it's not really about a particular business or a particular industry or particular things. I mean, omnichannel is really applied to everyone else. So that's what we try to kind of see if we can explore some of that concept and some of the idea behind it. Right? So I'm going to skip the introduction. I think just want to highlight this again. I think you already see maybe so many times by now the definition of it. But I just want to highlight one word here is it's a highly personalized experience, I think. And when we read personalized experience, the first thing that comes to our mind is an experience as a buyer, a day-to-day customers going to the store. But that's not really true. How about the experience of your retailer buying product from a distributor? How about experience of a distributor buying product from the manufacturer? Those are experience. Those are buying experience. So we're gonna drill down a bit more. So that's what really entitled. I mean, what's really matter for the merchant? For when I say merchant, it's really like someone that run the business, someone that have the products. Whether you are retailer, you are a wholesaler, you are a distributor. It's about in here with all the digital technology. We're talking about the digital technology disruption. That's really the catalyst of the omnichannel, right? Without the technology, this might not happen. But that allows basically everybody to become able to serve the customers, tapping that beyond the boundary of whatever the original and how you're going to be able to tap. And it's opened up a lot of new channels, and we know that the channels keep expanding. Maybe when 10 years ago, we never see TikTok or something like a YouTube or something like that. It's a channel. We always thinking channel is just one. It's a store. But now all of a sudden, today you have so many different channels that you have to deal with, right? And I think the number of channels keep increasing. If you're talking about future, maybe, I don't know. I mean, somebody's saying NFT, Web3, who knows? That's, for us, it's maybe a foreign. I mean, I still don't understand what that is. But can that be a channel 5 years from now? Most likely, yes. So now is how can you tap and expanding this channel as many as possible. But the key here is to leveraging what you have. A lot of people thinking, okay, to tap to this channel means that I have to build everything from scratch. I have to disregard everything that I have. But the key really is you can't do that. In the business, that's cannot do that. You already built so many. I mean, for a distributor, you already spent 20, 30 years building the whole channels or the whole ecosystem that you built. I think if you remember in the first session that Pak Dadang shared, we believe is a channel inclusion, not a channel elimination. Because that's, the technology is, yes, it's disrupting, but it's disrupting the way that we're thinking. It's not necessarily has to be disrupting in the way of eliminating people out of it. So we should start with what we have and think from that way. How really can we do the omnichannel from what we have and our ecosystem? So when we start mapping that, it's really down to three things when we're working with from the product owner. Yeah, I'm flipping side now, I'm not talking from the customer journey. I think you already listened a lot about the customer journey itself. But now I'm thinking from the product owner or the person that have the products. This is the three things that usually facing. And it's kind of matter in the omnichannel thinking. The first one is obviously inventory and product assortment. You have the product, you have the inventory, how can we distribute? Indonesia specifically, logistics is a challenge, maybe even much more than some other country like US. I think like country like in the US, it's much easier in logistics. That's why they can always say, oh, omnichannel is easy. You can just free shipping everywhere, done. That's not going to happen in Indonesia. Try to ship free from Java to Irian Jaya. I don't think that's going to happen. Who's going to pay for the cost? Yes, maybe there's some marketplace with whatever color you want to put. Yeah, they're able to do a free shipping, but we know somebody's going to pay that. There's no free. Somebody's going to pay and somebody will suffer sooner or later. So it's nothing changed. Logistic is logistic, and there is a cost to it, and everybody, if you've been in the industry, you know that there's no disruption that would make that change. I mean, you're going to put a drone, I don't know, maybe droning from Java to Bali. Not yet, at least. Or using Star Trek beam. But as a current now, it is a cost. Right? It's an issue. Indonesia specifically. And the last thing is about the business model. I mean, a lot of the things when we're talking about omnichannel is we are being bound by what we know. Well, how we do it today. As a manufacturer, this is how I do it. 30 years, I do it by business this way. This is the only way I'm going to do it. As a retailer, the same thing. This is how I'm doing it. I open a store. There's a KPI for every store. This is every square feet has to earn this money. That's the KPI that I've been using for 20, 30, 40, 50 years maybe, some company. And that's creating the limitation of the way that you think on how the business model should be. And that's what the disruption comes in. It's not about the channel, but it's the way of thinking of how we do this business model is becoming the limitation of how you think about your business. So let's drill down one by one. Inventory. So I think this is a couple questions, more like engaging discussion. Obviously, the first thing that we know, when you have products, obviously the goal is to maximize your product discovery across as many channels as possible. So I think that's really makes sense, right? You have products, you want people to be able to find it as further as you can push your product through any channels that you know. This is why you have to keep adapting. Every new channel comes up, and you have to know exactly what the audience of that channel is and how can you put your products to that channel if that's really your audience. I think there's other session that really goodly put from Pak Sultan earlier on the other session. Is he said about knowing your customer is the first step, like understanding your audience, and so that you know how to map which product really appropriate to which audience. And that's really helping you on maximizing the product discovery, because it's not like really, okay, I have 20 products and I'm going to send it to all of 20 channels. It might be not a good strategy. Some channel maybe not for the audience for their products. I think some big company like, I know like Nike, I'm using stuff that are in Indonesia, just for example, they know how to navigate different channels, which one they're going to sell on Amazon, which one they're going to take away from Amazon, which one they're going to sell on their brand.com, which one they're going to go through company like Foot Locker. It's all different products because they know every audience on this channel is different. And that's still true. I mean, even though we move to online, in the online, in the digital channels, every digital channel has its own audience. And you want to maximize it, but selecting the right one as well. We just go into the second challenge. Now, if you know the channels, you know the products, how you allocate enough amount of inventory to those right channels, right? This is the next step, right? After you know the channels, you know the products, now how am I going to put enough amount, especially like client in the fashion industry, always have these challenges. Usually the stock is very thin. You already spread it out across all the stores. Not all the sites complete, unfortunately. And you're going to start selling online. And then the first thing that people say, create a warehouse, put everything there. Yes, I don't have enough items to put in my own stores. How do I going to put it in the warehouse and then sell it online as a separate dedicated stock? That's not going to happen. It's impossible. Then you start thinking, okay, that's why there's idea of omnichannel. I didn't create this idea. I mean, that's why omnichannel says, say, okay, why don't you use the store as a stocking point? Because then you have all the stocks. You want to exposure the stocks to as much as right channel as you want. So that's just one sample of allocating adequate amount in that the right channels, right? But that's still a lot of questions on that. And then the third thing is the agility to actually move around. I think a big company usually already built a route on how you distribute the product across Indonesia. I mean, they already have maybe a schedule routing, how the things move. But now with the digital world, I think things getting is even much more disruptive because expecting agility is even more. And then obviously you have to manage the price fluctuation and stuff like that. How can you be able to reflect that also in the digital sales channel that you gotta do? This is why sometimes people say, I cannot do that, I gotta do online. My price changes every 10 minutes. How can I do that? Or maybe some companies say, I really have multiple stores, and every store has a different price right now because my sourcing is different. So how can I do that in the digital world? I mean, obviously, like when you to talk with some Western consulting, they will say, yeah, just put everything universal price the same. That's a solution, but is that really work here? Maybe not. If you can make it work, yes, that's good. But is that really how it's supposed to be? Maybe not. So that's the inventory and the product assortment. That's just the first part of the challenge. Now, once you figure that out, then you're now going into the next step of the process. Like, okay, I'm in Indonesia. How am I going to take care of the logistic challenge? What is the right logistic strategy? Since the shipping cost is so high in Indonesia, that's become one of the things that typically becoming the largest expenses when you start doing an online business. So the strategy around the logistic strategy, putting the right warehouse, putting the right store to be involved in that strategy is very critical to be able to do that. Which means you need the ability to source the product. Not only provides the fastest, right? Fast is one thing, but it's also the most cost effective. And this requires a lot of mastery around that. I mean, this is why a company like us, like SIRCLO, we've been doing this. I don't know, that's Rinaldi here, the master of the logistic here. We've been doing for so many years. I mean, there's a formula that we learned across that. I mean, it's just a part of the mastery process that is a new skill that you have to build once you get into the digital world. And then understanding, like I said, in Indonesia, this is the tricky part, right? And not like the shortest one is not always the best route either. It's a lot of people think, okay, I want to do omnichannel. I only care about the shortest distance, and that will solve my problem. Nope, unfortunately, that's not. I think I'll have like one example. You just said, okay, if you have an items in Bali and you have an items in Jakarta, you have a client in Surabaya, and you want to ship the closest one. Which one is closer? Is that the cheapest? Is that the right one? No. For most city in Indonesia, surprisingly, sending from Jakarta is the most fastest and the most cheapest and the most efficient way as a hub. But it's not necessarily the closest and not necessarily the cheapest either. Which is kind of interesting, right? I mean, so it's not as easy as a 1, 2 plus 1, and all of a sudden you get the right formula on getting the right omnichannel strategy. So this is something that really overlooked around in the way that you do. And then obviously now with the new, a lot of disruptive in the last mile, and I think every logistic company now starting to participate as a player in this digital world. I mean, obviously you want to be able to tap in as many as logistic partners as you can. And that's require also not only ability to work with them from commercial part of it, also obviously there's the technology integration point, and all stuff that come along with that. It's not easy. How do you measure your logistic partner? Which one you're going to choose, which one is the right one, and how that's going to go with your business. So now, assuming that you sort those out, those two, then we come into the newest part of territory that usually is going to be a bigger challenge. It's the business model challenge. Now, this is what I'm saying. I think omnichannel experience, I think, does not mean that you have to replace your current ecosystem first. I think most of the omnichannel start with what you have, and fine-tuning that and make it better from that, right? And the omnichannel experience should bolster and grow your current business. It's not eliminating whatever business that you have. It's not. It shouldn't be an omnichannel. It shouldn't be becoming what's that called, channel conflict and actually there's no channel conflict in the dictionary of the right omnichannel. And you have to remember, whatever business model that you're going to do, the purpose of the omnichannel itself is to reduce the friction and the distance between your business and your customers. Again, that's really the goal. What is the best on reducing this distance? And this can be meaning differently for different players, right? Obviously for retail, it means that making sure that your customers can get into your products from the retail. I think the slogan is, whenever you are, whatever you are, at the channel you want, basically. Anytime you want. So that's really like all the friction that you want to reduce. But that doesn't really mean it's the same as a distributor thing. This distributor can create an omnichannel actually as a value add. I have a talk to a couple of distributors basically, and I said, where can I play in this? Sometimes I have a client right now in this distributor. I'm not going to say the name, but like they will include all their retailers into the omnichannel schema. That's never happens before technology involvement. That can be done. I mean, but now with the technology, it's actually possible. You can create a sales channel where the one that actually benefit not only you yourself as a distributor, but it actually can also be your retailer, which is your current ecosystem, to be participating inside that. So this particular clients in the pet industry, they were able to basically engage all the pet shop across the Indonesia to be participating, become the stockist, and actually become the fulfillment. So those kind of thinking is outside the norms of the normal business model that you see as a distributor. And if you're just looking at the current way of, I'm doing business for 20 years, I'm a distributor, I only just be a distributor, then that's it. You won't see this business model out of you. But when you start seeing that, okay, I'm a distributor and I'm empowering my retailer, I have two benefits out of it. One, all of a sudden I can see the customer that the retailer serves, which makes me a better distributor to be able to strategize what product and what inventory that I can do, what channel right. And the second time also I'm actually making my retailer also win from this particular schema, which is a win-win scenario for me. Then all of a sudden those thinking process change. What is the business model? Are you a distributor? Are you a retailer? Or some people just say it's a B2B2C. Wow, so big of jargon. I cannot figure out this word like B2B2C, like so fancy. But at the end, that's a new business model. Right? I mean, you in the traditional way, you either B2B, you are the B2C. What is B2B2C? What is B2C2C? Right? I mean, all of a sudden, those come up when you start open up the way that you interact and you use omnichannel beyond what you have. And this is the challenge that you have to keep put into your thinking process when you're talking about omnichannel. It's not just simply, I always say to my client, it's not just O2O. O2O is just one form of omnichannel. Yes, it is omnichannel, but it's not omnichannel as a whole. It's the one particular business model inside omnichannel, yes. But the heart of the omnichannel itself is really getting all the channel involved, both from the sales side and the fulfillment side. So with all those in mind, when you start thinking of these questions, of these challenges, I think that's where you have to start, okay, what kind of technology are these? Like I said, unfortunately, a lot of this the bad news is does requires technology in a certain way because you can't really do it in just a manual human way. I mean, things have to be automated in a certain way. And it's a process. It's a both process of investment of technology, but also process of changing from the mindset and changing from the business model. So it's a lot happening. It has all happened at once. It takes time. And some company able to do this. Some company maybe still struggling to figure out what that is. But yeah, I mean, just to closing my session, a couple tips if you're looking for something. I mean, make sure that whatever that you test, it's not limiting you to a certain business model, right? Or about how you process the order, how you handle the inventory. Like a lot of the companies say, okay, you want to do omnichannel here, the technology, it's going to mirror everything, inventory all across channels. That's it. That's the only one way to do it. But you know it's not as easy as that. I mean, sometimes it's not about sending all inventory to all channels. Sometimes you want to actually specifically tailor different channel, different inventory allocations. Ability to work with other companies, the whole notion of involving your retailers, that's essentially you open up your business to other companies to jump into your business model. So the capability of the multi-sellers, the capability of having other companies to be part of the business. And obviously it's all about integrations and no, if somebody said I have one model omnichannel for everyone, that's the big liar that I heard in any business. Every business is different in the omnichannel strategy. And there's no one fix for all kind of strategy. So that's why customizable is important as you go into this investment. Like things like the ability to adapt and move fast, the agility to be able to change and customize. I think this is where part of it I like working with Adobe and stuff like that, a little promotions. but those are the technology, right? The technology that allow you to be able to adapt and customize and able to follow the way that your business works. Those are the ones that you want to invest on. So I think that's all for now, just the food of thought. Obviously, I'm open for more questions, and you can always reach me for more discussion and anything like that. Happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ada pertanyaan, kita ada waktu 5 menit, mungkin 1-2 orang yang ingin bertanya. Ada? Tidak ada? Sepertinya sudah cukup? Oke, aman ya. Oke, kita tutup Q&A-nya. Thanks a lot, Omul, untuk sharing sessionnya, sharing insightful.